Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the deadly military strike in the Caribbean. The president releasing this video claiming 11 drug traffickers were killed in the strike. The White House saying they were on their way to the U.S. carrying drugs from Venezuela. What we know at this hour as tensions rise in that region. It comes as the president promises a crime crackdown in Chicago. The governor and mayor pushing back hard tonight, saying there's no emergency in the Windy City. All this as a federal judge rules Trump's deployment of the National Guard in L.A. was illegal. Also tonight, the death toll soaring, more than 1,000 dead in Afghanistan after that catastrophic earthquake as rescuers racing to save those trapped in the rubble. The UN now warning hundreds of thousands more could be affected. Accusers of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell speaking out exclusively to NBC News, their call for accountability and the desperate plea for justice. Deadly doorbell prank, a Houston man now charged with murder for allegedly shooting and killing an 11-year-old boy who rang his doorbell and ran away in a game called Ding Dong Ditch. This just in, a verdict in the Cardi B civil assault trial. We'll break down the viral moments inside and outside of the courtroom. And McDonald's expanding extra value meals, the fast food giant serving up new deals as they try to bring back customers to the Golden Arches. And good evening. We begin tonight with that breaking news. The U.S. launching a military strike against a boat in the Caribbean, killing 11 people on board. The president says the boat was part of a cartel operation carrying drugs from Venezuela and heading towards the U.S. The deadly hit coming as Trump ramps up his fight against crime, drugs, and illegal immigration in major U.S. cities. His latest focus, Chicago, saying, quote, "We're going in." But the president facing new legal questions tonight after a federal judge ruled his deployment of the National Guard in L.A. early this year was illegal. We'll have more on that legal battle in a moment, but we want to get right to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez, who has the latest on that lethal military strike.
Tonight, the White House releasing this dramatic video of the U.S. blowing up a boat in the southern Caribbean. President Trump says it was carrying drugs from Venezuela and that the strike killed 11 members of the notorious gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA.
We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And these came out of Venezuela. We took it out.
Last month, the Pentagon deployed 3 guided missile destroyers to international waters near Venezuela after President Trump designated several drug cartels, as well as TDA, foreign terrorist organizations. The U.S. did pull off a large-scale prisoner swap with Venezuela this summer. Now tensions with Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro are rapidly escalating.
The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel.
Tonight, the president saying no U.S. forces were hurt in the strike.
All right, Gabe joins us tonight from Washington. Gabe, a lot to ask you here. How are the Venezuelans responding, particularly Nicolás Maduro, who has said he thinks that the Trump administration is trying to unseat him?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. Maduro has claimed the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean is aimed at overthrowing his government, and he's even deployed troops along his borders. He's also asked civilians to join armed militias to defend that country. Now, tonight, though, a senior White House official is downplaying any possibility of the U.S. invading Venezuela, but says the president will use any means necessary to tackle drug cartels. Tom.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez leading us off with that video tonight. We're also following President Trump's intensifying threats to send National Guard troops to Chicago, saying tonight we're going in. And while Illinois' Democratic governor says the reinforcements aren't needed, other local leaders aren't so sure. Peter Alexander is following it all for us from the White House.
President Trump tonight promising a federal crackdown on crime in Chicago. Asked whether he'll send National Guard troops there, the president responded,
"Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in."
And singling out the state's Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, who opposes the move.
I watched Pritzker get up and say we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered. Chicago is a hellhole right now.
Late today, Pritzker warning the Trump administration is planning to send unidentifiable agents in masks to raid immigrant communities.
The terror and cruelty is the point, not the safety of anyone living here.
And arguing there is no need for National Guard troops in Chicago.
There is no emergency that warrants deployment of troops.
The president's announcement comes just hours after a federal judge dealt a blow to his crackdown in California. The judge arguing the recent deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles in response to immigration protests was illegal. Judge Charles Breyer, a Biden appointee, siding with California Democrats who sued, saying it creates a national police force with the president as its chief, but allowing those National Guard soldiers to remain while the case is appealed. Back in Chicago, the murder rate has dropped 32% this year, but there was more violence in the city over the holiday weekend with 8 homicides and 58 people shot. And now some local lawmakers there say Democratic city leaders should accept President Trump's move to send the National Guard.
Violence still remains the #1 issue that everyone is concerned about. The city of Chicago can definitely use Trump's help to increase public safety.
All right, Peter Alexander joins us from the White House. Peter, we saw the mayor of Chicago there at that Governor Pritzker news conference, and he's saying something tonight?
Yeah, Tom, tonight Chicago's mayor is objecting to any National Guard deployment. Instead, he is calling on the president to restore hundreds of millions of dollars in crime prevention grants that the Trump administration slashed this year. Notably, Illinois has some of the strongest gun safety laws in the country, also has low levels of gun ownership. Mayor Brandon Johnson says his city, Chicago, does not have an immigration crisis. He says it has a gun crisis, making the case that the federal government could make a huge difference by helping end the trafficking of guns into his city. Tom?
Okay, Peter Alexander first. Peter, we thank you for that. We're going to head overseas now to the latest on that catastrophic earthquake in Afghanistan. Officials there say the death toll has risen to at least 1,400. The efforts to find victims made all the more difficult in the remote region hit by that quake. Keir Simmons on the desperate search still underway.
The death toll soaring, 1,400 now in this devastating Afghan earthquake. And tonight, officials warning of an exponential rise in casualties as communities cut off by the destruction finally get help. The UN says the number impacted could reach hundreds of thousands. Here, a child, bewildered, lifted from a Taliban government helicopter, the only way to find many families in isolated villages near the epicenter of Sunday night's 6.0 earthquake. But the clock is ticking. Pictures emerging of one destroyed home after another, of children's bodies covered in simple cloth, and of the agony of families. The official government number tonight, 3,000 injured and at least 5,000 homes destroyed. But this one man says about 300 to 350 people are still under the rubble. In California's Bay Area, Afghan Americans find themselves even further away.
We feel the pain, and hopefully we can help them.
While the Taliban is running the evacuation of survivors and scores of wounded.
We're all worried about it, but hopefully the government of Afghanistan can help them out. I'm not sure how much they're capable of, but we're hoping.
Keir Simmons joins us tonight. Keir, there is so much desperation there. The Taliban now reaching out to other countries for help?
They are, Tom, and countries are responding. Countries like China, like Pakistan, like the United Arab Emirates, where I am now, and European countries like the UK, which says that its funding will be specifically targeted at helping women in Afghanistan after this deadly earthquake. But, Tom, USAID's program in Afghanistan was cut substantially this year, and the US's help for Afghanistan has been so important over the years. It's going to impact this crisis, not having that kind of help. Tom?
Yeah, as that death toll rises. Okay, Keir, we thank you. Now to our exclusive interview with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell survivors and their family members. Speaking out together, Hallie Jackson did that interview and joins us live tonight here on Top Story. Hallie, there's also some breaking news about some release of more Epstein files. Are we learning anything new?
That's right, Tom. Democrats say largely no. They have said that most of the 30,000 plus pages that has been released very late tonight by the House Oversight Committee just minutes ago is not new information. But I will tell you this, in my conversation with these survivors and some family members, they say transparency is exactly what they want. A show of hands here. If you or somebody you love was abused or trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. All of you. For the first time publicly, 9 Jeffrey Epstein survivors or their relatives together. Why did you decide to come here today?
I'm coming here because there's been a severe miscarriage of justice, a delay in accountability.
Each of us, in our own way, over the past several decades, have stood up and told our stories so that someone would listen to us, only to be faced with the frustration of being ignored.
Alone we are afraid, together we are feared.
Jenna Lisa Jones, Lisa Phillips, Jess Michaels, Marika Chartouni, Liz Stein, the siblings of Virginia Roberts Giuffre.
She should be here. I am so honored to be here with you guys. She would be here. She'd be screaming, you know.
And Wendy Avis.
Were you abused by Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes.
She has never before spoken out about the abuse she says she suffered at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein when she was a teenager in Florida.
I just put it behind you, didn't talk about it, didn't think about it, nothing. And it was kind of like, okay, now you have to heal from this. Now you have to address it and face it for the first time ever. Like, this is real.
And I know that that's emotional for you. I can see it in you.
And it's also emotional. You know, I haven't met them today, but going through stuff like this, especially as an adult, it brings up a lot of mental health issues. And I've thought of hurting myself, and not now, but, you know, over the last 6 or so years, just going through all this, and it's hard. And I know that if I have those thoughts and Virginia has those thoughts and we're victims, you know, how many more of us do we have to lose?
How many of you want to see more documents released publicly related to the Epstein case?
They tell us no one from the Justice Department has reached out to them.
Nobody in this room has heard at all from the Department of Justice?
No.
And they're furious about the interview between the Deputy Attorney General and convicted Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, conducted over 2 straight days in July.
There's no reason why someone like that should be platformed when we are ignored.
She is the abuser, and why are we so concerned with how she feels about things and her opinions?
Are there other prominent individuals that you saw when you were with Jeffrey Epstein and others who you think should be followed up on by law enforcement?
I mean, let's not beat around the bush. The parties, the charity events, on the island, everyone that he was involved with, not everybody, because obviously there were people that didn't know about what he was doing. But there were many people that knew what he was doing that were involved in the sex trafficking ring.
Now they want more accountability and more investigations from the Justice Department.
Who else would like to see the DOJ reopen this investigation?
Yeah.
Okay. All of you.
Had they done their job in the first place, none of us would have to be sitting here on camera today.
President Trump has downplayed the renewed attention on the Epstein case. And while White House officials have said no leniency is being discussed in Maxwell's case, the president has not publicly ruled out a pardon for her.
Show of hands, who would like to see President Trump definitively rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell? Every single one of you.
Pledging they will not be silent in their push for accountability.
As a community, we have to stand up and we have to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. No more. We have to change the culture, and we have to provide safety and protection and belief when people come forward. It's what Virginia would be doing right now.
What has it meant to you, Wendy, as somebody who is coming forward now for the first time, and you've sat here and you've heard these stories and you've heard the perspectives from these women, these family members around you? What has this experience been like for you?
It tells me that I'm making the right choice. And that's powerful to me because I don't have to second guess myself anymore.
All right, Hallie Jackson joins us again tonight from Washington. So, Hallie, I know you also have some new reporting. You've heard back from Maxwell's attorneys tonight?
That's right. Our team did reach out for a response. And tonight, Maxwell's attorney, David Marcus, tells NBC that they cannot, I'm quoting here, you see it on screen, we can't respond to every outlandish claim against Ghislaine or we wouldn't be able to get any actual work done. See, some of the statement goes on to add that only when plaintiff's lawyers came knocking, again, I'm quoting here, did they start pointing the finger at his client. We have reached out, Tom, I should note, to both the White House and, of course, to the Justice Department, but we have not yet heard back. Tom?
Yeah, and then, Hallie, before you go, sometimes when you're in that room and you're speaking to all those different groups of people all together at once, you can sort of glean some information or get a sense of something else that's been happening. What did you learn after this experience?
I will tell you, Tom, one of the things that was really striking, some of these people had never met each other before. This was literally in this room here in Washington, in this studio, was the first time that they had interacted here. And I was struck by the way that so many of them thanked the family of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, saying that Virginia was a reason why they spoke out. They talked a lot about strength in numbers, this idea that maybe 5 years ago, several of them said this, 5 years ago, maybe they weren't comfortable coming out. But seeing more and more survivors use their voices made them want to do that so that other survivors feel safe. And I was really struck, Tom. One woman said she felt empowered by this moment, and I thought that was notable.
All right, Hallie Jackson for us. Hallie, we thank you for bringing us that interview. Now to a new source of wealth for the Trump family. You probably know about the Trump Organization's vast real estate holdings, right? From Mar-a-Lago to Trump Tower and all those golf courses and country clubs around the world. But the family's biggest source of wealth might now be in crypto. A new Trump-affiliated cryptocurrency opened for trading on Monday. The Trump family holdings, 22.5 billion tokens, now valued at around $5 billion. For more on this, NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now. So, Brian, this could be the most valuable Trump-branded asset. Explain to our viewers how it works.
Yeah, and what we're talking about here is a token that's being traded if you have a crypto wallet. It's known as World Liberty Financial. So it's not immediately clear that it's associated with the Trump Organization, but make no mistake, it's the Trump family that created this entire cryptocurrency venture and stands to gain so much from these the valuation of these tokens in this so-called WLFI. Now, again, there's a lot of questions over what the valuation is going to be here. But when you think about the president's assets, there have been some estimates out there, like from the New York Times, that he's worth $10 billion. And at the current trading, which we've seen so far, it was worth something like $5 billion. Just these tokens essentially created out of thin air alone. That would be a massive amount of wealth for the president, although he has divested from the Trump Organization. So it's really his family that would be making that paper money right there.
So explain to this, if you're worth $5 billion in this token, right, is that like if you were worth $5 billion in any kind of publicly traded stock, could you cash out the next day and give or take a few bucks, get that $5 billion in cash?
Yeah, the short answer to that is no for right now. The reason being that this is a brand new cryptocurrency token. And when they basically said the votes that everyone has with these tokens, they can choose to decide how these tokens are traded. There was kind of a shareholder vote, if you will. It's kind of the equivalent of that in this cryptocurrency world. And the holders voted to say, hey, we should allow some of these tokens to be traded on these platforms like Coinbase. But they also stipulated in that same action that the original founders, which would include the members of the Trump family, could not sell their tokens for now. Now, whether or not they open that up sometime down the line is an open question, Tom. At that point, they could then liquidate and make a few $1 billion right?
Yeah, and I want to put this up on the screen for our viewers. World Liberty Financial, not just benefiting the Trump family, right? Take a look at the team they have posted on their website. You see some familiar faces from the Trump family, including Eric. I can see Don Jr. there. I see Barron there. I didn't know he was in the business.
Yep.
But also the Witkoffs as well. What else do we know about who could profit off this cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I mean, Barron, who's very young, all things considered, has been taking on a lot of these crypto projects. But I think even beyond just the sons themselves of the president, but Steve Witkoff is very interesting, given that he is the special envoy to the Middle East, has been so critical in terms of the administration's diplomatic relations with that region. His son is also on that list there, and I think a lot of people might not be aware of that particular Witkoff name. He has interestingly been spending a lot of time in the Middle East trying to fundraise and get sheikhs in that region to buy this specific cryptocurrency. Again, Tom, just kind of raising more of these questions about potential conflicts of interest, as you have a lot of these people who have an enormous amount of power also potentially able to profit off of projects like this one.
Crypto's relatively new, but we can say that President Trump has been way more crypto-friendly than President Biden. That's fair to say?
Oh, noticeably so. His Securities and Exchange Commission chair has been someone that's been very much on the regulatory side of allowing crypto to proliferate in this country, whereas his predecessor, Gary Gensler, was largely seen within the crypto community very much as someone that was anti-crypto.
Okay. Brian, always great to have you. Thank you for being here. We're back in a moment with some breaking news. A verdict in the Cardi B civil assault trial just in after some explosive moments inside and outside of court. What the jury decided in this $24 million case. Plus, RFK Jr. hitting back against his critics who say he's putting the public in danger with his changes at the CDC. This after a blistering critique from 9 former agency heads. We'll have the details of his new op-ed. And the doorbell prank gone terribly wrong, resulting in the death of an 11-year-old boy. Now a Houston man is charged with murder. Stay with us. And we're following some breaking news out of L.A. County tonight. The jury in Cardi B's civil assault trial has reached a verdict. finding her not liable of assault and battery against a security guard in 2018. The deliberations taking less than an hour. The rapper there in court as each juror was asked if their decision was unanimous, and you can see the relief on her face. Take a look.
Was it unanimous, juror number 1? Yes. Number 2? Yes. Number 3?
Yes.
Number 4? Yes. Number 5?
Yes.
Number 6?
Yes.
Number 7?
Yes.
Number 8?
Yes.
Number 9?
Yes.
Number 10? Yes. 11? Yes. And 12?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and dedication to this case.
All right, with that, Camila Bernal joins us live tonight. Camila, walk us through exactly what the jury found here.
Well, by finding her not liable, Tom, what they found is that she did not lie to them. They believed everything she said on the stand. This stems from a 2018 incident. And what Cardi B says is that she was going to the OBGYN. She was pregnant with her first child, was about 4 months pregnant, but she had not told anyone. And so when she stepped out of the elevator to go into her doctor's office, the security guard was there. She was on the phone and said something along the lines of, "Oh my gosh, it's Cardi B." And Cardi B felt like she was being recorded, that maybe she would talk about her pregnancy. And that's when this fight started. Cardi B saying it was just a verbal fight. They exchanged a lot of colorful words. And the security guard had said that Cardi B had hit her, had cut her face with her fingernails. But the jury did not believe that security guard and essentially sided with Cardi B here, who was very honest, very colorful. You could see it in her facial expressions. You could see it throughout the entire trial, just her being Cardi B, Tom.
Yeah, I want to play some of those moments from the trial of Cardi B on the stand, which have been seen millions of times online, and talk about it on the other side. Let's take a look.
Did you call her fat?
No, I was calling her a
Yesterday you had black hair, short hair. Today it's blonde and long. Which one is your real hair? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
You said she's bigger than you. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I mean, look.
So how critical was Cardi B's testimony in this case, which I didn't really, I don't know if that was revealing what we just heard there, but explain it.
Yeah, I think it was really important because the jury got to see her and her attitude and who she was. She was not shy about it. And even after the verdict was reached, when she went outside to speak to reporters, she told people, "I spoke the truth." She essentially said, "I did read a lot of these comments and saw social media and saw what people were saying about me being a good person on the stand or just giving good testimony." And she said, "All I was doing here was telling the truth." And you could see it in her expression, in her face, and her blunt answers, because that's basically what she did. And outside of the court, she also said, "Look, if you sue me, I'm going to counter sue." She was essentially giving a warning for whoever wants to sue her next, because what she was saying was, "I'm not going to give away my money. Next time someone tries to do this, I'm going to counter sue."
Yeah, and then there was also a tense moment outside of court during lunch, which I want to play for our viewers. Let's listen.
Party. Insiders are claiming that Offset is publicly bragging about getting you pregnant for the 4th time. Do you foresee any paternity issues with Stephon Diggs?
Don't disrespect me. Cardi, how you feeling?
There's a lot going on here. Did the jury find out about that? Was that, I mean, I know it wasn't part of the case, but it shows an outrage there, I guess, a little bit of violence.
Yeah, we don't think the jury found out about this, but they were in the hallway with everyone else. So it's possible, because this is something that everyone was talking about. And if you missed it, basically, a reporter asked her about rumors of her being currently pregnant, and she was upset about that question. So she got that pen and threw it into the crowd. Everyone in that courtroom was talking about it. Even the plaintiff addressed this and said, "Well, look, this is how she acts." But it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because, look, the jury believes her. The jury saw the way that she is, and they still found her not liable in this case, Tom.
Okay, Camila Bernal, we thank you for walking us through that. We're going to take a turn now, a very big turn, but it's an important turn, to the escalating fight over the CDC and Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. writing an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today, defending his work with the agency. Kennedy writing in part, "Dysfunction at the CDC produced a rational policy during COVID. The American people no longer believe the CDC has their best interests at heart." It comes after 9 former heads of the agency, you see them here, both permanent and acting directors from both parties, stretching back to the Carter administration, wrote in the New York Times that Kennedy has weakened the programs that help keep Americans healthy, removed experts, downplayed vaccines, and advocated for legislation that could cost millions of Americans their health coverage. Our Ann Thompson is with us now to help us sort of unpack more of Kennedy's op-ed today. And you cover the CDC for us at times. What did you think about the op-ed, and what did we learn?
I think that what you're seeing this is basically a fight over science. The former CDC directors are saying, look, the CDC has been the gold standard of science. What they're afraid of is that Kennedy is going to take his ideology and use that ideology to twist the science. And that is a particular concern when it comes to vaccines. And what you saw today in that op-ed was about COVID. And he accused the CDC of suppressing low-cost therapeutics in favor of experimental and ineffective drugs. Well, I called HHS to try, or I emailed HHS to try to figure out what he meant by that. Is he talking about ivermectin? Is he talking about hydroxychloroquine, which are two non-proven therapies for COVID? Never got an answer. But it's one of the big questions there. Is he using that ideology to twist the science?
Do we know what the sort of the culture, the morale is right now at the CDC?
I talked to the 3 top leaders who resigned last week after CDC Director Dr. Manaras was fired, and they said there's a culture of fear, not just about speaking out, but again, this fear that the science is going to be twisted. And I spoke to one of them who is the vaccine chief, and he said when the FDA came out with these new COVID recommendations saying they could only be given to people over 65 and people who had a medical condition that put them at severe risk for COVID, he asked to see the data, and they wouldn't give him the data. And he's the vaccine chief, and that's what scares people. How are they making these decisions? Tonight, we don't have answers.
All right, Ann Thompson with a lot of new reporting there for us. Ann, we thank you for that. When Top Story returns, the Succession star now facing charges of alleged DUI. His arrest happening over the holiday weekend. And McDonald's putting some extra value in its extra value meals as it tries to bring back budget-minded customers. We're going to explain this and what's on the new discounted menu. But first, Top Story's top moment and the morning routine that has captured the hearts of millions. And it's a series of TikToks known as Coop on the Stoop. It shows 18-month-old Cooper sitting on the curb and watching the cars drive by, all recorded by his dad, Chris, every morning. Take a look.
It's Sunday. We just got back from a walk. Cooper's got his banana bread. The stoop is dry. His throne has been re-established. We'll be here.
And we'll be here the way Cooper's dad ends every video. Chris tells Top Story that the response to the videos have been mind-blowing, even inspiring football teams and major brands to replicate Cooper's routine. That's really cool. Stay with us. More news on the way. We're back now with a prank gone horribly wrong in Houston. Authorities charging a man with the death of an 11-year-old, saying the 42-year-old shot the child as he was running away during a game of ding-dong ditch. NBC's Jesse Kirsch has this heartbreaking story.
Tonight, Gonzalo Leon Jr. is behind bars after police say he shot and killed an 11-year-old boy who was pranking people in this Houston neighborhood. The 42-year-old suspect appeared before a judge today.
You're accused of the first-degree felony offense of murder.
According to investigators, 11-year-old Julian Guzman and his cousin were ringing people's doorbells and running away Saturday night. Then the prank, often known as Ding Dong Ditch, turned deadly when the boys allegedly reached the wrong house too many times.
The suspect came out of the gate next to his house, fired once into the ground, and then drew down on this 11-year-old boy who was running away.
You don't think he haphazardly shot the gun and it accidentally hit the boy? You believe that he aimed at this boy?
That is exactly what we believe.
Sean Tier is the prosecuting district attorney.
Was there ever a moment where your team considered this may have been self-defense?
No, never.
Investigators say the boy was shot in the back.
There were no weapons that this young man had. There's nothing to suggest that he was taking property.
Police say Leon Jr. was questioned and released before the SWAT detail helped take him into custody earlier today. Meanwhile, the Houston community is memorializing a child's life cut short.
And with that, Jesse Kirsch joins us tonight. Jesse, that suspect is due back in court tomorrow?
That's right. For the time being, Tom, he is being held without bond. The prosecutors are expected to be asking for a $1 million bond. The DA tells me that is because they believe he is still a danger to this community. In court today, the judge asked the suspect if he wanted a court-appointed attorney. He said yes. At this point, it's unclear if that attorney has been named. And, of course, as soon as that attorney is identified, we will reach out for comment. Tom.
Okay, Jesse Kurz for us. Jesse, we thank you. We want to go to the top stories newsfeed now, and we start with a suspected homicide at Burning Man. Officials saying a male victim was found lying in a pool of blood Saturday. The discovery happening at the climatic burning of a human-shaped wooden sculpture called The Man. That marks the ending of the 9-day festival. Police now asking anyone who attended Burning Man who may have information to contact them about the man's identity. That still remains a mystery. One of the biggest food manufacturers on the planet is splitting up. Kraft Heinz announcing today that it plans to separate the two companies after merging a decade ago. The new companies haven't officially been named, but one will include signature brands like Heinz, Philadelphia, and Kraft Mac and Cheese, while the other will feature North American brands like Oscar Mayer, Kraft Singles, and Lunchables. The transaction is expected to close in 2026. And Succession star Nicholas Braun has been arrested for a suspected DUI and operating without lights. The 37-year-old was stopped by police in New Hampshire over Labor Day. He was allegedly in lockup for less than an hour before being released with no bail. Braun has a court date later this month. And across parts of the U.S. last night, a solar storm lighting up the sky and making the northern lights visible. Take a look. You can see some of the incredible images here. NOAA predicting the lights could be visible again tonight in several states that are close to the Canadian border, like northern New York, Washington, and Michigan. For the best viewing experience, head to rural areas away from city lights and all that light pollution. Okay, turning now to Money Talks and big news on the Big Mac front. McDonald's is returning extra value meals to its menu, hoping to lure back families as they balk at fast food prices. Christine Romans on why it's a sign of the times.
McDonald's is putting value back on the menu.
The extra value meal is back at the Golden Arches.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
A long-running promotion last offered before the pandemic. Starting September 8th, 8 combo meals the company says will save customers 15% compared with buying an entree, fries, and drink separately. And for a limited time, a $5 sausage McMuffin with egg meal and an $8 Big Mac meal. It's the latest salvo in a value war as big chains offer new deals and discounts to lure inflation-exhausted Americans. McDonald's CEO acknowledging strain among some consumers.
It's really kind of a two-tier economy. Traffic for lower-income consumers is down double digits, and it's because people are either choosing to skip a meal or they're choosing to just eat at home.
Restaurant expert Jonathan Mays says McDonald's price cuts signal a new phase in the year-long value war.
Consumers have seen price increases everywhere. Housing costs are up. It costs more to get a car. It costs more. You've got student loan repayments. You got all of these things that are hitting the U.S. consumer at once, and they're feeling the pinch.
McDonald's planning more deals for November as fast food chains fight for your dollar. Christine Romans, NBC News.
Now with the latest on the war in Gaza, Israel calling up thousands of reservists as it prepares an offensive on Gaza City, but some refusing to serve and now speaking out against the war effort. And a warning, some of the images in this piece are disturbing.
Palestinians are fleeing from Gaza City again, getting out before Israel launches a major ground offensive against the city. The Israeli government says to root out Hamas and search for hostages. Palestinians are heading south to a so-called safe zone where Israel claims food and shelter will be provided. Fahad Awad and his 8-year-old sister Ilham were in that safe zone today, walking barefoot to a charity kitchen. I wish I could be like kids around the world, reading, studying, and learning, Fahad says. These children were also in that safe zone today. They were collecting water when their families and the Ministry of Health say they were hit by an Israeli strike. The hospital can't cope. An injured boy shares a stretcher with another who just died. 2 dead sisters are laid side by side as a child bleeds on the floor. The Israeli military claims it did not carry out attacks in the area. As Israel is in the midst of calling up 60,000 reservists for the offensive on Gaza City, today a small group announced in Tel Aviv they're refusing to serve, which here could lead to jail time. Max Kirsch, an American Israeli, proudly served in the Israeli army on numerous occasions, including after Hamas went on a murder and kidnapping rampage nearly 2 years ago.
Why don't you support the war now? The war right now is a direct threat to our future. It's a direct threat to the future of Israelis, of civilians, of our own values.
So far, Prime Minister Netanyahu appears unconcerned by opposition in the ranks. Today, he thanked reservists who are reporting for duty and said the war is now in a decisive phase. Tom?
Now to top stories Global Watch. At least 1,000 people have been killed by a landslide in Sudan, according to the rebel group controlling that area. The tragedy unfolding Sunday in the western region of Darfur after several days of heavy rainfall. The Sudan Liberation Movement Army saying the village of Teresen was completely leveled to the ground. The group now appealing to the UN to help recover those bodies. At least 850,000 Syrian refugees have returned home from neighboring countries since the fall of Bashar Assad in December. That according to a top UN official. Experts believe that number could reach more than 1 million in the coming weeks. Relative stability under an interim government creating opportunity for the more than 1.7 million who were displaced over the course of that 14-year conflict. And humanoid robots descending on the birthplace of the Olympics to show off their athletic skills. Here's what it looked like. The International Humanoid Olympiad showcasing robot boxing, soccer, archery, and more during the 4-day event in Greece's ancient Olympia. Training data for humanoid robots is scarce even as AI races ahead. The event's organizer saying he believes humanoid robots will go to space before they are advanced enough to help out in homes. Interesting. Still ahead on Top Story, and bring back the landline. One family discouraged by the rise in cell phones decided to find out, and the movement it sparked was truly inspiring. That's next. Finally tonight, one family in Maine dialing back on screen time with a bit of nostalgia by installing a landline for their kids in their home. And it's catching on. NBC's Rahima Ellis has this one.
In South Portland, Maine, 10-year-old Molly Morse is dialing into something completely bizarre for most kids her age.
Hello.
An old-fashioned landline with a curly cord. Before she got one, this was just a mystery.
What did you think it was? A toy. I didn't get the fun of it because I didn't know how to use it.
But Molly found out it's not a toy on her 10th birthday after asking her mom for a cell phone.
She was hopeful. But we pivoted and we surprised her with a landline.
Karen Morse is a mental health professional.
Were you worried about the amount of screen time? Yeah, absolutely. So I knew what I wanted to do at home was a little bit simpler.
That meant putting one landline in the dining room to keep all conversations in the open.
Hello?
Soon, Molly got the hang of it. So did her 8-year-old sister, Piper.
I think it's terrific.
They both love the independence.
I kind of get the advantage of scheduling my own playdates.
The only drawback at first, their friends didn't have a landline.
I only could call my grandparents. Anyone else?
But Mom got busy spreading the word. Today they have a landline pod of about 24 people, including Molly's best friend, Scout.
Hello. Hi, Scout. I was really excited because I had wanted one after I heard that I couldn't get a cell phone.
Now, Scout's dad says something wonderful is happening.
I feel like we are holding on to a bit more innocence for longer, and I'm letting them be kids.
Cell phones will come, but not right now.
Hi.
Rahima Ellis, NBC News, South Portland, Maine.
All right, we thank Rahima for that piece. What a sweet story. And we thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.